Please, there's no need to apologize. If anything, I'm the one who should be sorry. Clearly, I shouldn't have gotten lost in my thoughts in the middle of a hallway. Ah, quite the perceptive one, I see. First things first, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kirill Chudamirovich Flins, but please, just call me Flint. Ah, is that so? Names like mine ought to have been fairly common in Snezhnaya, at least in the past. Would I be correct then to assume that the two of you are travelers in this land? What a rare honor it is to meet such worldly travelers. If only I had the time to spare. No, I'm just staying the night. That's certainly one way to put it. I'm a ratnik of Nodkrai, normally stationed near the burial grounds to the north. My sole cause for being here today was to repair this lantern of mine. Your surprise is entirely understandable. Most people cannot even begin to fathom the idea of a life surrounded by tombstones and decay. But if you've heard of the calamitous abomination that is the Wild Hunt, you'll know that in their wake they bring a host of souls tainted by abyssal filth. That then is why we are stationed by the burial grounds, to hold the line where it is most vulnerable. I thank you for your concern. But in truth, I've long since grown used to it. In fact, I like to think it rather suits me. If anything, I'd say I prefer the peace and quiet of a graveyard to the hustle and bustle of urban life. Oh, I assure you, there's no need to worry on that account. The kind of ghosts you find in cemeteries aren't too big on talking. But even when they do, they're usually far more discreet than the living. Well, would you look at that? Who'd have thought we'd end up chatting this long? Must have a lot in common, huh? Forgive me, but I must excuse myself, for the time of my appointment draws near. And in terms I'm sure you'll understand, a lanternless ratnik is like a mapless traveler. A serious conundrum indeed. Not at all. Should the opportunity present itself, I'd gladly continue our conversation another time. You're always welcome to come visit my grave. The grave I stand watch over. Your visit would bring much-needed light to that place of final rest. Then allow me to wish you a traditional ratnik's farewell. See you by the graveside. Huh? What are you doing here? Yes, we ran into each other at the flagship this afternoon. I'm honored you still remember. Are you looking for something here? And you just happened to end up surrounded by the Wild Hunt. Sorry, I did not intend to come off as pointing fingers. Indeed, perhaps our courses of action do not differ so greatly. Not exactly. We Lightkeepers are accustomed to patrolling at night, a long-held tradition, you understand. I was just passing by when I noticed that the Wild Hunt had struck, so I simply did what I am duty-bound to do. As a matter of fact, I just saw someone leaving in quite the hurry. Was that your companion? Perhaps I should take my leave now. After all, my patrol isn't over yet. Nodkrai is a dangerous place to be at night. I'd advise that you head back soon as well. I thought I sensed the Wild Hunt nearby. Don't tell me you've already taken care of it. Unless I am mistaken, you are the Moonchanter of the Frost Moon Scions, are you not? May I ask, what is that in your hand? Please, don't get me wrong. I've been tracking the Wild Hunt lately, and I've come to suspect that its actions aren't as aimless as they might seem. When I saw what you were holding, I could not help but start connecting the dots. Oh, is that so? Funny that. I just showed up completely out of the blue, yet you seem to have no problems trusting me. I apologize. I shouldn't be making jokes like that right now. Anyway, I understand. Thank you for the tip-off. It seems that the wild hunt has somehow changed in nature. I'll have to report this to HQ right away. For now, let us part ways here. Is someone there? Please, help me!
Sí, operizos. Sí, operizos. Yamalune katesi poramos kalu. Ilmio seli na prosininso. Presently kestul. Tutto ni nektorai desnevite.
No! It escaped again. This situation speaks for itself, I presume. So, that vile phantom hiding inside the wild hunt has a name of his own. Sorry you had to see me like this. All the same, you have my sincere thanks for your aid. To think you had the power to so easily cleanse the filth staining the lantern, which tormented me so. Might I ask what magic that was? Or whose pupil you are? I believe I might have saved some face had I mastered just a fraction of such abilities. And an enviable constitution it is. A pity that such abilities cannot be acquired. That is a long story. Many moons ago, when on wild hunt clearance duty, I shattered one of its cores only for a special crystalline object to fall out. I sensed a power surging within it that was at once familiar yet strangely illusory. I freely confess to being an avid collector of ancient gems, coins, and other curios. And curiosity it was that had me store this crystal inside my lantern. Afterwards, I wound up collecting a few more such crystals quite by accident, and discovered that they could merge into a single piece without my prompting. Though my understanding ends there. It was only recently that they began slowly emitting abyssal energy, which could neither be dispelled nor weakened. I concur. And here's the kicker. Before he was exceedingly weak. In fact, I've already beaten him several times, though I could not destroy him completely. But I noticed while engaging him that the crystal fragment would restrict my powers. As such, it occurred to me that I should hide it rather than tangle with him any longer. Alas, he has proved most fixated upon this fragment. And for some reason, his strength has grown by leaps and bounds since I last encountered him. And where, might I ask, would it be safe? Or do you think it wiser I threw it away? Were our places switched, would you discard it, knowing that its perilous might was beyond your ability to counteract, yet capable of causing greater harm should it lie beyond your grasp? Only those who shoulder risks are qualified to welcome in the turning of the tide. Those who flee when troubles come are nothing more than deserters. Though I shan't deny that I have your fortuitous arrival and most outstanding assistance to thank for my continued ability to speak such platitudes. Either way, it seems this fragment is now utterly still. That must have made it useless to Rerir. I doubt he would have retreated so readily otherwise. I imagine this wasn't the only reason you came looking for me, though. Ah. I see. To use the Lightkeepers to find me, I suspect. I did not inform anyone of my true whereabouts, so he should have had more difficulty tracking me down. They alone have the ability to quickly pinpoint my position. Our Sergeant Major has a Kuuvahki-powered device that can be used to detect others who bear a lantern. They usually don't pay my whereabouts much mind unless they absolutely must find me. Yes. Where did you pick this up? It must belong to a ratnik dispatched to investigate the area, who, it seems, dropped everything and fled the moment they saw the wild hunt massing to strike. Well, at least they're not dead. Were he to use it, that device would likely fail to act as it should, owing to abyssal interference. So not only is this Rerir ruthless, but a purveyor of dirty tricks too. You might not be familiar with Sergeant Major Sousi, but he put his heart and soul into every mission. Our deployments are subject to orders from headquarters, and his orders were to be stationed long-term in Nasha Town. As such, he was very seldom able to go back and visit his family. He worked so hard, seeking to produce excellent results that might convince them to transfer him out. But every year they would say, "Wait a little longer. Wait a little longer." He often wondered if it was because he was lacking somehow. In truth, everyone had nothing but the highest praise for him. But good work does not always lead to good outcomes. The higher-ups would think, he's doing great where he is. Let him stay there forever. A most convenient choice for them, at least. Whereas his subordinates would think, wouldn't it be a shame if we were to lose such a talented, easygoing boss? So he waited. And he waited. Until the world closed its eyes in the depths of the night, and a lantern was slowly lit for him alone, that no one could see. One that has played out many times throughout history. Another reason to take this Rerir's head. And yet, what did the Sergeant Major have to do with any of this? Why did he have to die? Could you take me to the scene of the crime? We shall just have to exercise some discretion then. Come on. Let us be on our way. I understand the situation more or less. Much has happened, I see. Either way, I suppose we were lucky not to receive a warm welcome on the way over here. It seems my fellow Lightkeepers do not wish to make this case public just yet. Let's stop here. Any further and the Ratniki might detect us. Since you two can enter, I'll have to request that you kindly pick me up once you're inside. You'll know when the time comes. See you later. This lantern may have a rather peculiar shape, but so long as it doesn't glow, it won't stand out in the dark. I calculated that you would have already entered, so I chose a spot visible from the window before using light to send you a signal. As I thought, you're both sharp-eyed and on the ball. Your composure is more impressive still. You're right. That required a little trick of my own. But let us leave such trivial topics for a more relaxed moment. Our time is limited after all. Just as I thought. Come, try sensing it yourself. Identical powers must flow from the same source. It was the wild hunt, then, that took my form and killed the Sergeant Major. But why do this? If the wild hunt's true form is powerful enough to stand against the world as you claim, I fear not even the full force of Lightkeepers could stand against him, let alone the handful of us stationed in Nasha Town. He would have no reason whatsoever to pick quarrels with individual ants. Let's look again more closely. We must leave no stone unturned. Well, that makes things simpler. In that case, allow me to disturb the fallen. May the ghost flame guide your spirit. May you rest in peace. When we fought, he seemed like quite a reckless foe. Certainly not the meticulous mastermind type. Yet here we are, grappling with this enigma he has left us. I'm not well versed in machinery, but that means his mechanical arm is malfunctioning, right? It might have been broken in combat. The Sousi you met could have been Rerir in disguise. In other words, he played the Sergeant Major before disguising himself as me. You mean Hinta? I know where he lives. The situation is critical, so let us now take up the role of uninvited guests ourselves. Ah, yes. And one more thing. Remember to pick me up by the window. It is indeed. Our sincerest apologies for interrupting your rest. We are investigating a certain matter in connection with Sergeant Major Sousi. We'd like to know if he has sent you a request for maintenance to be performed on his mechanical arm. Thank you for your understanding. You've provided us with some very crucial information, Hinta. You have our thanks. We can't make everything public yet, but once our investigation is complete, I will return to thank you and provide an explanation on behalf of all the Lightkeepers. It seems that it is as we guessed. The Sergeant Major Sousi you encountered while repairing the cannon was actually Rerir in disguise. 8 days ago, he had yet to act, but at some point after that, he attacked and imprisoned the Sergeant Major. With the immense gap in strength between them, the job was finished in a single blow. And thus Rerir had no opportunity to discover the malfunctioning mechanical arm. Perhaps his mastery of shapeshifting extends only to outward form, and not therefore to complex internal mechanisms. Hence his oversight of the uniquely mechanical traits of the Sergeant Major's arm, and in turn, this flaw in his disguise. This also has me stumped for the moment. The cannon has always been used to destroy the wild hunt, and it works as intended. But how would that help Rerir exactly? Assuming he plans to collect the fragments within wild hunt anomalies, firing the cannon works against him, since it would blast those fragments to smithereens. Yes, I'd say it is high time we took a break. Seems like there's a lot left to investigate. We'll have to fight Rerir eventually. And we'll do a poor job if we're not well rested. A reasonable suggestion. I have no doubt that my quarters have been turned inside out by now, at any rate. My colleagues have never failed to live up to my expectations of their discourtesy. That would be good, yes. Feel free to put the room costs on my tab. I suppose we could all take a moment to unwind. As I recall, our first meeting took place not far from here. Ah, the nostalgia. Had you already sensed the unique power within my lantern at that time? I see. Words truly do fail to capture your superlative insight. Fortunate then that abyssal energy was only leaking from the fragment in minuscule amounts when we first met. Or I might have been in for a real interrogation. You mean to ask why I'm going this far to oppose him? Well, as a Lightkeeper, I'd say I'm simply doing my job. All right. I suppose I do owe you some honesty, whether out of gratitude or the need to build trust. Your deductions have been quite correct. Should one wish to conceal oneself within a lantern, elemental power alone is not enough. You know humans well, and naturally you understand their limits. But some things that humans would consider difficult are quite normal in the eyes of non-humans. Have you heard of how Snezhnaya was once the realm of the Faye? This race is no longer of any importance, but they still exist, as evidenced by the fact that I am standing before you. I once turned my heart toward humanity, and thus did I experience loss. I once labored and did much, and put an end to my tale with my own hands. When you realize you are floating in the middle of a vast ocean, you cannot help but feel that swimming in any direction would be equally meaningless. Would it not be better, then, to simply sink? But before I could sink to truly lightless depths, chance had it that I should be awakened by a band of Ratniki. They were facing a horde of abyssal monsters, and could not last against such a disparity in strength. Yet none fled. Those who dwell in darkness for long enough become exceedingly sensitive to all light. And the first light I saw upon awakening was that which shone from their eyes. Perhaps I was moved by their valor. Perhaps I simply saw my past self in them, and was moved to action for the first time in a long, long while. But I was freshly awoken, and my powers were limited. I could not prevent casualties altogether. The survivors and I buried the fallen heroes. That was the origin of the final night cemetery. Well, not exactly. I was just more familiar with them, so joining up seemed the most convenient way to experience human life. Well, I believe it. Besides, I'm well past the age when one might believe in things that must be done. Nonetheless, there are still some things I will not allow to happen. The chaos that Rerir has been stirring up is one of them. Tomorrow I shall go and check our records to see if I can find any connection between the Wild Hunt, Rerir, and the Canon. Oh, I'll be fine. I keep a backup copy at my residence in case of emergencies. Thanks for the reminder. I believe they'll have checked my place, but they won't have stayed. All things are ranked according to their priority, and we lack the manpower for such an open-ended stakeout. And even if someone is waiting, I have ways around that. I am the master of my own house, after all. I didn't take you for the cautious sort. Anyway, I hope you'll help me keep this a secret. I'd prefer others not to know about my past unless strictly necessary. Nor do I want to attract more trouble on account of being a Faye. All right. Thanks again for your help. Good night, you two. It's getting late. The situation is urgent, but rest is vital. Good night, both of you. This way. Let's move. We're running out of time. Difficult, yes, but it is also our most efficient option. To expose the true intentions of this Rerir, we need to dive into nodkrai's history. Many strange things happen here, but this is not one of them. Wild Hunt Phenomenologue? Are we being given hints? I feel no hostility. On the contrary, it seems we're being aided somehow. The material I've read through has all been about past Wild Hunt incidents of enormous scale. What about you? Whatever this is, it seems to want us to notice something. Let's bring our files together and give them another look through. Wait. I've noticed something. Before the occurrence of these huge Wild Hunt events, a smaller scale one would erupt in the exact same location. And look, all these smaller scale Wild Hunt site reports share a common outcome. Some of these records are too old. I doubt he had regained the ability to act freely yet, or we would have met long ago. Kuuvahki and the Wild Hunt are mutually opposed forces. We Lightkeepers previously believed that these small Wild Hunt sites would temporarily go inactive due to being neutralized by the Kuuvahki present in the soil. But now that we've synthesized all this data, there is a key issue this hypothesis cannot explain. Indeed. Despite the name, I would not call a Tideseal Stone's sealing powers watertight exactly. But for it to fail and the situation to deteriorate in such short order, yes, that might be it. It could be that when Kuuvahki and abyssal energies meet, the stronger side will suppress the weaker one. And while Kuuvahki can indeed destroy small-scale wild hunt anomalies, should Rerir be strong enough, the Kuuvahki might be his for the taking instead. What are you referring to? Was there a gap between him pretending to be Sergeant Major Sousi and the cannon being fired? It all makes sense. And all that just for the fragment I had with me. It begs the question, what makes it so special that he needs it so badly? That's odd. We shouldn't have any guests. I'll go take a look. Ah, it's an ibis. No time for speculation. He's already made his preparations. If you recall, his body was incomplete when we last met. If this bombardment continues to increase his strength, he might regain his complete form. Let's go to the cannon's target site. That's where we should find Rerir, and that's where we'll stop him. One moment. Just let me get this news to Lauma. Nasha Town is in their hands now. You're here, as expected. You were waiting for us to leave Nasha Town then. Well, sir, you look most pleased with yourself. In that case, before you put us out of our misery, I would like to ask you a question, if I may. See this fragment? It once haunted your dreams. But now it seems useless to you. What is it exactly? So the terror of the wild hunt was in fact caused by scattered pieces of your corpse. I guess they don't call you one of the 5 sinners for nothing. So that's why it responded so strongly to you. Hence, you fired that first shot, hoping to regain enough power to seize the fragment from me. Why aren't you running?
Sigisato passa sax, intili potuftos. I necritus necrus baptisi, cenis omnes tu zonos pentusi. Osesticos palatin pirantur resurcu, topirtu aetion veratum.
Well, that's not good. Let me guess. You didn't get a human body back, did you? Watch out! Whatever rationality he still had when he was searching for his body is gone. All that's left is the calamity you see before you. A monster fueled by nothing but his own obsession. It seems this young lady aided in our escape. You have my sincere gratitude, dear madam. The flowers here bloom in such peaceful silence. I imagine you would not have invited anyone here were it not an emergency. Oh? I take it that means you've been here before then. In that case, I count myself fortunate to be your associate. You're not afraid to speak your mind, miss. I like that. Please call me Flint. It is my honor to make the acquaintance of one such as yourself. We did block most of the Kuuvahki, so I'd say we've put a lid on his plans for now at least. But we still don't know what his aims are, and he may continue gathering power. So we must be very careful. A question, if I may, kind Miss Colombina. When the cannon's Kuuvahki beam was deflected earlier, I saw several bolts of energy streak toward Hisi Island, only to be blocked. Did you also have a hand in that? I see. Curious. In that case, Miss Colombina, I shall not disturb your serenity any longer. Thank you once again for coming to the rescue. My thanks. For that and for everything else I hear you did to help us arrive at the truth. Point taken. I will give that some thought. I suppose that's one way I'd benefit from replacing Sergeant Major Sousi. Well, if you've got a moment, would you like to come with me? There's a certain gentleman I'd like to send off on his final journey. This man was like a lighthouse. Here he lived as if it were a mere matter of course, and brought light and grace to those around him. But people, once used to illumination, are apt to ignore the lantern's presence. Slowly, gradually, he came to think as such himself. I have achieved too little. I must do better. There is more work to be done. Perhaps his end was tragic. But I remain proud of the way in which he illuminated the path for others. Every shadow born of the light shall remember it. I've heard that one too. Is that so? Well, you're right. It may seem that our efforts were in vain, that Rerir achieved his goals, but we will pursue him to the last, even if the outcome is not what we wish for. It is not dissimilar to the role of a graveyard keeper. We do not seek to bring the dead back to life, only to grant them peace. Either way, the Lantern Faye is not playing the leading role in these final rites. Lightbearer, with your blood you have paved the road to glory and justice. Even as we hurry on, bruised and battered though we may be, stay a while and look back upon the world and all its love and hatred, until it closes its eyes in the depths of night, and a lantern lit for you alone flickers softly into life. Thank you for everything, Sergeant Major Sousi. Good day, you two. Assuming I don't have the time wrong. Then let us forego these niceties. It is always dark here in the final night cemetery. Time becomes somewhat meaningless. You needn't worry. This is my humble abode and the tomb of the Lightkeepers. And while somewhat dark, it is on the whole a safe place. That being said, I rarely receive visitors here, save for the occasional colleague. What brings you two here? I see. In that case, as guardian of the tombs here in the Final Night Cemetery, allow me to extend the warmest of welcomes to you both, on behalf of the spirits who slumber here eternally. That is correct. As you may have noticed, this island is dotted with headstones. You might think of it as a veritable necropolis filled with souls. Isn't it a welcoming thought? Apologies. It was meant merely as a gesture of the hospitality that you deserve as guests. We don't receive many visitors here, after all. But I suppose it is a tall order to expect people to suppress their fear of ghosts. Even so, I do hope your visit shall be a pleasant one. The spirits on this isle, while somewhat old-fashioned and hardly gregarious, are an unassuming crowd who keep to themselves. I have found they make perfectly decent neighbors. If you still have misgivings, I can only suggest that you avoid staying outside where possible. The ghosts do not tend to set foot indoors very often, although that might render your sightseeing experience a little less riveting. Let me think. Most of the camps on this isle have been removed, and only the lighthouse remains, symbolizing the many battles the Lightkeepers have fought against the Wild Hunt. In that regard, it has quite a bit of historical value and is thus well worth seeing. Years of disrepair and a shortage of fuel, I'm afraid. As this island became abandoned, maintaining the lighthouse became increasingly difficult. Besides, even if we were to rally sufficient manpower to repair it, it would serve little purpose these days. In the past, it guided people on their way to and from the island. But all those people now lie beneath our feet in eternal rest. Well, that is perhaps not entirely accurate. They do sometimes come running out, speaking once familiar utterances into the void. In which case, since you are not used to the darkness that shrouds this island, you could consider restoring the lighthouse to illuminate your way. I too know well the comfort that a distant ray of light can bring on those lone journeys through the cold night. Speaking as a Lightkeeper, we no longer need the building all that much, and I am under no official obligation to maintain it. And personally, I am more partial to the night than the day, so I find myself quite comfortable here in the dark. Besides, I have a lantern of my own. I would rather tend to that than rely on a more distant warmth. As such, you should have no issues using it, so long as it helps you. I believe there should still be some backup fuel for the lighthouse stored in an old tent to the north. That should be enough to serve your present needs. And if you should need to find me, I will be in an underground basement on the north side. That's where I will be sorting through my reports. I will meet up with you once I have completed my urgent tasks. What happened here? Ran into a spot of bother? A whole host of ghosts surrounded the lighthouse. I sent them away to prevent them from blocking the area. And when they saw the lighthouse flashing, they departed. I sensed it too. This graveyard is bereft of life save for passing birds, the insects underground, and myself. Normally it's so quiet you can hear yourself breathing. Up until just now, that is, when these ghosts started getting agitated. Was it because of the lighthouse? They asked you to send a signal out. How peculiar. In my experience, they have never coerced or harmed anyone in any way. This can only mean that lighting the lighthouse has somehow caused a change in them. I must say, this is quite out of the ordinary. The ghosts here tend to stick to fixed areas and repeat words and phrases that meant something to them in life. But now, all eyes are on the lighthouse. They have a rather indistinct appearance, but when they fix their yearning strongly on a specific place, I can sense where their cold attention is directed. Consider it a natural talent of mine. As to the cause of this behavior, I do have a theory. Ghosts are the echoes of living souls, a portion of their thoughts and memories that, for certain reasons, fails to enter the ley lines at the moment of their death, and thus they linger on the surface. The ghosts in question were Lightkeepers in life, and as such, I believe the lighthouse is deeply embedded in their memories, something they are instinctually drawn to. Relighting it must have stirred something in their memories, causing them to depart from their usual behavior. You might not be aware of this lighthouse's past, but it once served a great many functions, from guiding passing merchants and Lightkeeper fleets to reporting on the Wild Hunt's activity in the surrounding area. In the days before this was a graveyard, its light was never once extinguished. It came to symbolize the hope and warmth that the Lightkeeper sought to bring to Nodkrai. But alas, the light of this historic outpost was snuffed out in a conflict against the Wild Hunt several decades ago. According to our internal records, that conflict cost the island 90% of the troops stationed here. The Starshina of that time eventually decided to send a warning signal to the outside. Indeed, The warning signal saved the nearby merchant fleets and patrolling Lightkeeper ships. Without it, they likely would have been pulled into the fighting with little knowledge of the situation. But at the same time, this signal also cut the troops on the island off from any possibility of rescue. The Lightkeeper Oath contains a line that goes as such: "Our bones and blood we shall use as fuel. We shall make life greater than death." It is a line that strikes at the very heart of our principles. Should we find ourselves at a great disadvantage, we are to prioritize the preservation of life and ensure humanity's long-term survival. After all, the Wild Hunt is a never-ending threat, while our numbers are limited. This principle is most cruel to those who must sacrifice themselves, and yet, most of us willingly abide by it. You feel you unwittingly did something wrong? No, I don't think so. Ghosts are but the memories of people that once were. You may have stirred up those memories, but that is all they are. Those to whom they once belonged are long gone. Still, I can see that you're concerned about them, and truthfully, so am I. If you wish to find them, just follow me. Ah, yes. And please do not be alarmed by anything strange we may encounter along the way. Close your eyes. Be silent. The coast then. But on which side? Where are you going? Never mind. We won't get anything out of this one. The north it is then. Had reinforcements arrived on the day of that battle, they would have landed here. You have to understand that ghosts are hard to reason with. A better way to communicate is to give them key information that might provoke some sort of a reaction. How about this? We'll go in together, but I'll handle the communication. After all, I am not only a Lightkeeper myself, but also very accustomed to dealing with ghosts. Help is on the way. So, you don't need rescuing? The Blue Lantern cannot bring back souls from the dead. Even if you light him up, it will be too late. He can help you destroy what remains of the Wild Hunt, but he cannot save you. Those poor souls. On the one hand, they hoped that someone would send out a distress signal and save their lives. On the other, they did not wish to call in reinforcements only to send them to their deaths. And so they sought the help of the Blue Lantern spoken of in local legend. And indeed, one such lantern was still preserved on this island. That ought to have been their last hope in a time of desperate need. But to my great regret, it is of no use to them now. They will recall the unfathomable suffering they experienced in their final moments. I will do what I can to comfort them. Again, they are but the replaying memories of once living people. It is not the ghosts who have rallied, but the Lightkeepers who fought to the bitter end. Viewing the world through human eyes is like looking into a kaleidoscope. It is so complex and yet so beautiful. The sorrow and reluctance in the face of death, the longing for a life of peace and stability, the surprising valor that wells up in the hour of despair. If it were up to you, traveler, would you wish to do something for them? Is that so? A response befitting an adventurer of your caliber. Personally, I do feel inclined to do something for them. To help these shadows of the heroes that once were forget the death that will soon be upon them, and return to their slumber. In time, the memories and yearning of these ghosts will fade, and slowly return to the ley lines. But that time has not yet come. My dear Ratniki, I am Kirill Trudamirovich Flins, Once upon a time, it was I who retrieved your fallen bodies from the battlefield. Now, let me once more lay you to rest, for you are worthy of my respect and earnest esteem. Look upon my flame and wander no longer. Return to your graves and forever rest in peace. 6 feet under may you slumber in your erstwhile homeland, and in sweet dreams return to the ley line's embrace. Some of their memories and thoughts have been dispersed. The rest will later return to their usual state. To me, they are both warriors whose memories should be honored and my gentle, friendly neighbors. Unfortunately, I did not know most of their names, but my short interaction with them has deposited some of their memories within my flame. At the very least, I know now that the gentleman who moved fuel and loved to tell the tale of the Blue Lantern was named Imo, and the comrade he always called out to was named Itu. Many of the ghosts on this island may have been affected by the Lighthouse, and I'm not sure if they'll all undergo changes like Imo. But if you're in the mood to keep exploring, would you come with me? I'd like to get to know them better still. It would be my honor.